Sorry. Got it. Okay, so hello everyone. Good evening and good day to you wherever you are. Very warm welcome to you all, Honorable Speaker Mas Karim, all the participants, students, if there's any students over here, and professionals. Thank you for taking the time to joining the technical discussion group organized by SPE Java Indonesia Section. Could you go to the next slide, please, Mbak Fanya? Yeah, okay. Before start, let me share with you the timetable of this evening. The event will shortly be opened by our SPE Java Indonesia Section Vice Chairperson, Mbak Anggi. And after that, we will have few slides highlighting SPE Java membership section. And we will go to the main event. And then shortly before Q&A, we will have a photo session. And hopefully we could end this evening at 9 p.m. sharp. Okay, without further ado, I hand it over to you, Mbak Anggi. Next slide, please, Mbak Fanya. Mbak Anggi, time is yours.
Yep, thank you, Mas Valen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm greetings to all the participants and the audience here for this webinar. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Anissa Anggi Riani Putri. I am the Vice Chairperson of SPE Java Indonesia Section. On behalf of SPE Java Indonesia Section, I would like to thank all participants for attending our first series of technical discussion group. And also, I would like to thank to our speaker, Mr. Karim Jonosisworo. Thank you for speaking to all our audience in this evening. We are very grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences in Agile and Lean Coach BP company. So current markets and industries are increasingly competitive and volatile. As a result, the business environment is becoming very unpredictable. Companies must demonstrate agility to survive and thrive in such market and industry environments. So what is agility? And then how does it help a business and how it is implemented in oil and gas industry? And I believe there are still a lot of questions related to the topic from the participants. So how to gain maximum benefits and will surely be helpful for all of us. And I would also like to take this opportunity to remind you about the election for the 3 open position of SPE International Board of Directors following a successful petition for additional nominees. So we invite you to make your choice heard and cast your vote for the candidates you feel are the best qualified for their positions and have positive impact on our society. So please, for all SPE Java member, check your email or simply go to SPE website for the board election. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you an engaging and enriching session ahead. Thank you. Back to Mas Valen.
Thank you, Mbak Anggi. We will continue with a few slides highlighting SPE Java membership section. I will hand it over the floor to Mbak Jessie. Mbak Jessie, time is yours, Mbak.
Yes, 1 second. Let me share my screen for a while. Mas Valen, can you see my screen?
Sorry. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, okay, perfect.
All right. So yeah, good evening and good day for all of you who just joined the DDG station. So my name is Chese Belavania. I'm from membership team from SPE Java section. So for this opportunity, I would like to brief a little bit about membership renewal campaign. So yeah, so as you know, I believe some of the person who join, some of that are not joining yet as society petroleum engineers members. So if you want to know more about us, please stay for some minutes about this membership brief. So what is SPE? So we have the largest individual member organization serving engineers, scientists, managers, and other professionals worldwide in the oil and gas industry. So in this society, we gather to exchange and also enhance the knowledge for the technical and professionals competency, and also to enhance your network. So we have around 12,000 members around the world in 15 regions in 134 countries, and we have more than 100 events annually. So we provide unparalleled insight, share expertise, lifelong learning, and community strength to fuel the success of our members and the future of industry. So this is our mission and vision. So our mission are to collect, disseminate, and exchange technical knowledge, like I mentioned earlier, and also to provide opportunities for professionals to enhance their technical and professional competencies. And for the vision, we want to enable the global oil and gas E&P industry to share the technical knowledge required to meet the world's energy needs in a safe and environmentally responsible manners. So I will next to the next slide, which is the SPE Asia Pacific. So in Asia Pacific, we have a lot of events for every geography and disciplines. We have at events in 5 locations each years. And then in Asia Pacific itself, we have around 10,000 SPE members. And then we do conference, symposia, workshops and forum cater to every disciplines, like maybe for example in petroleum aspect you have a drilling disciplines, production discipline, and so on. We have that, and then also we range of tailored sponsorship opportunities available. So in Asia Pacific itself, we have several multiple events, like in SPE symposiums. We have Asia Pacific Energy Transition in Kuala Lumpur in September, which is next week, and also CCUS Management also in Kuala Lumpur in October, and then also in Australia about the commissioning and well plug and abandon. And also back to Kuala Lumpur in November, we have enhancement and cost optimization. And then for IADC, we have the events in Kuala Lumpur in September as well. And APOCSI, we have in Adelaide, Australia in October. And then for the IPTC, we will have next year in Bangkok in March. So yeah, we have a lot of upcoming SPE event in Asia Pacific. So what is the benefits to join our membership in SPE? So there are 4 main benefits to be our members. So first is access to technical resources. So as you know, we also have several publications, and then from the publisher, you can get the access through that technical resources. So yeah, you can also maybe publish some of your articles in SPE. So yeah, this is one of the benefits. And then the second is networking opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier also, we will have meetings, we will have events, both inline, offline, or online meeting. So yes, by join our membership, you will also get the opportunities expanding your network. And then the third things, you will get the access to the training and certification to develop your professional career path. So this is one of the benefits. And also the last things, not the least, of course, so you can get the recognition and awards through SPE. So yeah, by join our membership, you can get also the recognitions in the industry. And additional members for this joint membership in SPE, of course, in SPE Java Section, you can get the free registration events. Like for today, there's a TDG, there's a free registration free event that you can join every time. And then there's a volunteer opportunities like myself and other professional in the meetings today. So some of them are also volunteers. So yeah, this is a very good opportunity to be the volunteer and expanding your network. And then become a mentor, of course. You can also become a mentor for students or young professional who just joined the industry, who just graduated from the school. You can become the mentors. And then also for student members, SPE offers scholarships and fellowship both for undergraduate and graduate. So yeah, please join SPE with all of the benefits. And the next slide. So please join SPE. There are two types of the profession of the membership, which is professional and students. So for the professional membership, you need to pay around 30 USD plus 10 USD for the entrance fee for the first time only. And then for the fresh graduate, 1 year after graduation, you just need to pay 10 USD. And then second year after graduation, you need to pay around 25. And then for students, it's 10 USD. But for the students and the fresh graduate who just graduated first year, you will get the sponsorship from Chevron. So you don't have to pay and spend around 10 USD around 2 years. So yeah, this is very, very benefit for you to join the society. And then, yeah, what is the news for 2022? I will explain a little bit more on the next slides. And then please check my colleague, which is Tommy here, and also Chaksananda Oriendi. If you want to get more information about SPE, please contact them through phone number or emails. And also you can check our YouTube video about how to be the SPE membership. So next, I will not talking further about this. So this is some of the payment options. So you can pay the membership through credit cards. There's a check or money order, PayPal, wire transfer, and also the lifetime membership and company bulk. So this is for the company who wants to register all of the employees. So yes, please reach out to us about this payment option. And then next, about use waiver also, I will explain a little bit more about this specifically. Please reach out to us, which is Tommy and Chaksananda Oriendi on the contact details before. So there's a reinstead opportunity. So for all of you who found the memberships lapse, please contact to us. We can also have reinstate your membership. So don't worry, you will still get your initial or original account, and then you just need to reinstate. We will inform you about how to do that. There is two options. And then yeah, it will be easy to get back your account. So that's all from membership. I would like to give back to Mas Valen. So over to you, Mas Valen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mbak Chelsea. What a great presentation. So people, don't forget to renew if you're already a member, or register as SPE member to enjoy all the benefits and all the opportunity that's been mentioned by Mbak Chelsea earlier. All right, so I'm going to take the opportunity to say hi again to everybody who probably just joining us. No worries, you're not missing the meat of the event. So shortly, we're going to have the main presentation. Welcome again to the SPE Java Section Technical Discussion Group webinar series number 1 on digitalization and transformation. And thank you again for taking the time to joining us in this lovely evening. Myself, I am your moderators. My name is Valentinus Perli. I am currently leading a small energy company that's owned by the South Sumatra Provincial Government. And today, I am accompanied by our speaker of this evening, Karim Jonosisworo. And today we are going to talk about agility in oil and gas. In the following session, Karim will go into deeper detail regarding this topic. But before he begins his session, please allow me to read a brief biography of Karim. Karim is currently an Agile and Lean coach at BP. And he has always been fascinated with improvement and innovation on a personal and organizational level. Although he has a computer science background, he has a solid 12 years of experience in the energy industry. Most of the time is for building capability and helping teams how to surface problems and how to come up with better solutions. And in the process, he helped the team and the workplace become awesome and exciting. But before we start, could you please move to the next slide, Mbak Fania? Thank you. Let me explain a few house rules. So first, participant will be muted during the presentation. And second, if you have any question, please don't hesitate, type that question in the chat box or raise your hand to ask directly, but only during the Q&A session if you want to raise your hand. And the next, you may speak after only if moderator permits you to speak. And lastly, be prepared. We're going to have a documentation session, so be prepared to turn on your camera later. Thank you. And over to you, Karim. Okay, Karim.
All right.
It's yours.
Right. Am I audible?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Brilliant. Thank you, Valen. That was really exciting introduction, and can't wait to join SPE as well after going through that.
Thank you very much.
Right. So good evening, and thank you for the invitation to speak over here today, virtually, of course. It's a great honor to join you at SPE Java Technical Discussion Group. And as mentioned, I'm Karim Jonosisworo, and my job at BP is an Agile and Lean coach. Sorry, there's a bit of an issue.
Are you okay? All right.
All right, sorry, there's a bit of an issue.
No worries.
Okay, back. Right, apologies for that. So for this evening, there are really three outcomes I hope you can benefit or take away from this evening session, which is, first of all, understand why agility can help, what and how it works in our experience, specifically in BP, oil and gas business, and share benefit and examples that hopefully at the end of the session could inspire you to figure out how can you apply the learnings from here. And a bit of context in our case is that, as we all know, the world is changing at a dramatic pace. A rising and increasingly prosperous population is pushing up energy demand, perhaps by a third by 2040. And at the same time, carbon emissions need to come down dramatically to support the Paris goals, falling by half by 2040. That's a dual challenge we all face. The world needs to produce more affordable energy with fewer emissions. Contributing to meeting this challenge underpins everything we do at BP. We need to continue helping the world meet its energy needs to help lift people out of poverty and low incomes and improve living standards. At the same time, we need to find ways to reduce emissions. That means doing things differently. And that's a really exciting prospect. When I think about how things have changed since I started in the industry 12 years ago, there's so much going on now and everything is changing so fast. By far, the fastest growing energy source is now renewables, undoubtedly important today and very important in the future. And they present exciting business opportunities for energy providers. But renewables also are coming from a very low base, making up less than up to 5% of the fuel mix today. And despite the rapid growth, aggressive BP projections and based on current trends, suggest they might still make up just 14% of the fuel mix by 2040. So the dual challenge cannot be about a race to renewables. It's also a race to lower emissions. And it's something that affects us all, and we all have a role to play. Our ambition is to become a net zero company by 2050 or sooner, and to help the world get to net zero. We have 5 aims to get BP to net zero, as well as 5 more to help the world do so. So very quickly, let me run through them. Aim number 1 is to be net zero across our entire operations on an absolute basis by 2050 or sooner. Aim number 2 is to be net zero on an absolute basis across the carbon content of our upstream oil and gas production by 2050 or sooner. And number 3 is to cut the carbon intensity of the products we sell by 50% by 2050 or sooner as well. And aim number 4 is to install methane measurements at all our existing major oil and gas processing sites by 2023. Publish the data and then drive a 50% reduction in methane intensity of our operations. And we'll work to influence our joint venture to set our own methane intensity targets of 0.2%. And number 5 is increase the proportion of investment we make into our non-oil and gas businesses. Now, this is quite a big aim, and if you imagine, it's not an easy task. So to achieve these aims requires rethinking on how we work and collaborate. Now, given that vision, aims, and the challenges that we face in the current world, you could imagine, and maybe you have experienced yourself, if you haven't been, have you been in a working environment where creativity is discouraged? Your focus is just making sure to follow the rule and not make mistakes. Have you experienced a situation where getting things done takes a long time because it's difficult to collaborate due to a silo structure and processes? I'm pretty confident a lot of us have been through that experience, including myself. Now, research suggests about a third of the work that gets done in large companies has little value to delivering results. I'm sure most of you can identify with that. Ever sat through an unnecessary meeting or two? A call that ran too long? Wasted time on a task that didn't help drive the project forward? So realizing that, we pointed out some business cases for adopting agility. First of all, in many ways, agility is about solving for people and how we collaborate, what we call transforming the field. By solving for people, we deliver better, more predictably, which means we create value and secure our position with the customer and the markets. The relentless focus in agility is a continuous improvement in all things. The constant inspection and adapting in small timescales drives quality. And also to prioritize, focus on what you must do. And test that early and often to mitigate the risk of over-design and cost overruns that come with it. Agility requires humility. Humility to know that we don't know, the uncertainty and the complexity, and have a mindset to adapt and change tactics when the data tells us so. The risk of over-planning and over-investing upfront is that we become defensive of our ideas. We have declared an ambition that requires innovation. We will be building new business models and creating new products. We will need to innovate much faster than we've done previously with creative partnerships. And to design what is needed and not more than that, we will dive further into this thinking. Over here, what is called the Stacy framework. It compartmentalizes the work to be done across 4 dimensions: simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic. Let's look at the 2 dimensions. How to build the right thing when you have uncertainty. This focus on how certain or uncertain your requirements are and likelihood of changing. How to build the right thing. Uncertainty of technology. The second dimension shows how uncertain your approach or technology is to finish a task or build a solution. Simple tasks are well defined and easy to solve. You know exactly what you have to do and how you can do it. Examples for tasks in this category are brushing your teeth, riding a bike. You do it every day and you don't have to think about it. The approach you choose for such tasks is just do it. Complicated tasks are not simple anymore. They are not completely clear in terms of what you have to do and how to do it. An example for tasks in this category is activities on our operating assets. This is not straightforward anymore. The approach to solve such a task is to sit down, think about it, what you want to do and how you do it. So you make a plan, and when your plan is finished, you are going to execute it. Complex tasks are the big category in the middle of the Stacy complexity model. So they have quite a high level of uncertainty in terms of what you have to do and how you want to do it. This is where some specific agile practices are best suited for. Think about clean energy, reducing emissions. There are a lot of unknowns ahead. There are a lot of examples. For instance, digital projects usually fall under this category. The requirements are not clear from the start, and they also change a lot. The technology is not completely clear up front, and you don't know from the beginning how you are going to tackle certain problems. In fact, you don't even know what problems you're going to have. So going deeper on definition of agility, I'd like to understand from the audience where you are in terms of agility. So over here, I have put on a poll. You can go to menti.com and use the code over here, 53355069. And I think Valen has still has the link. Can put it in as well. You can click the link on the chat.
Okay. You have that in the chat box. Thank you. So everybody could participate in the polling. Please don't be shy. All right. We already have people joining in.
So what's your bet, Valen? What will be the average score here?
It's the score for me, you mean?
The average score from the audience?
Oh, the average score from the audience. Sorry, Dave asked what is the question. So the question is, where are you starting from agility?
So basically, if it's 0, you have no clue what agility is or what is agile. If you put 5, then you are already an expert. So let me display this again. Is my screen still on?
Yeah, it's still on.
Oh, okay. Right. So
I think most of the people, if I'm not mistaken, on reading the the result of the polling is number 2. So apprentice.
So far we have 14 people who have voted on where they are. It's quite a wide distribution. This is interesting, Valen.
Yeah, and we have one expert. Must be you. No?
No. I'm a student. right? We've got 16 people out of the 34 participants in the call. We'll wait one other minute. All right. Yes, the question is, where do you see yourself in terms of Agile understanding or knowledge?
I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, actually, that's good feedback. I could have been more clearer on that. All right. I don't see any increasing numbers here, so that's interesting to know. So we have a quite a wide distribution of where people are starting with the where you are in agility, and that is fine. And as mentioned, humility and being humble on where you are is an important trait in order to be agile.
Except one person.
Who's that?
I don't know. It's not an expert.
Would definitely like to hear from that expert by the end of this call. Maybe there's definitely some important learnings. All right, so moving on. Thank you for participating there. I'd like to play a quick short video to give a bit of a picture on what an agile environment looks like. Just need to turn on the video clip and sound. Okay.
What is Agile?
Oops, something is not working. Is the sound on?
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's working well. It's working well.
Agile is a new way of working. It helps us manage projects more efficiently.
It's one of the 3 enablers of our modernization and transformation agenda.
This is a revolution.
The speed at which you generate quality product really improves and gets a lot quicker.
It's not just the speed, it's also what we deliver. We listen to the voice of the customer.
Working outside of the traditional structures in a more flexible way. That is the team's job, 100%.
Get the right people together in a room, you work on one thing to completeness.
To have a multidisciplinary teams where the individuals can come together, share their experience, knowledge, skills.
The teams self-organize and you trust them. And Agile values individuals, it values interactions.
They know exactly what they will do during execution. Everything is hot topic. You don't leave something for months. It doesn't come off your radar.
The teams are focused, the teams are dedicated, and the team, they make their work visible and they measure it.
You can see work progressing very clearly every day.
It's all about transparency.
If people not trust it, then they will receive this micromanagement, whereas actually when trust is there and established, is you feel empowered. This is essential.
It has enabled the teams to take control of what they delivered.
You have a mission, you have a target, you work in a structured way.
If you do it right, you're only working on what the customer really values. So by getting really clear about a small scope you want to deliver and making sure you deliver it, you'll get more.
Right. Oops. Yeah, so just now was a bit of sharing of some of the teams that have been involved in the early pilot of working in an agile way. Now, this and related to that, agile companies are known for having a common mission, and as mentioned in BP, is getting to net zero by 2050. And we are working more towards a network of empowered teams versus the traditional hierarchy. Leadership motivate via purpose and autonomy, where they move away from old ways of micromanaging and providing that psychological safety for people to be creative. With help of digital transformation, a lot of the digital tools help us reduce save time and automate some of the very manual tasks, minimize paperwork, for instance, and make problems visible early. And also including empowering the teams to make decision closer to the knowledge and where the work is, and instill a culture of continuous improvement. And to paint another picture here, running an agile company or agile organization is like navigating a boat in a sailing race. The whole crew is aware of the end goal, which is winning the race, but accepts that they may need to change tactics along the way. The captain is the leader and provides strategic direction for the crew. Each member has a clear role and is given the autonomy to carry out that role and keep the boat on course. The crew must respond fast to changing conditions like weather and competitor moves in order to keep the boat in the race. Agility is really a mindset, a powerful way of thinking. It's defined by key concepts, guided by 4 values and 12 principles, and brought to life through a number of different practices and frameworks, which we will cover through the next slides. To become a truly agile organization, the agile mindset needs to be inherent in our culture, part of our DNA. And to help us get there, we can start by understanding what the agile mindset is and putting it to work with the agile values and principles when we start to use agility practices. By using the practices, we can further understand the agile mindset. And by learning more about the agile mindset, we can improve our use of agile practices. It's a continuous cycle of improvement as shown by the arrows in the graphic. And some people say, I already have an agile mindset. Well, maybe they've already built experience over years, but you don't change a mindset overnight. You have a limited velocity to unlearn and relearn new habits, depending on how willing you are to invest the time. There are many characteristics of an agile mindset, which is also a growth mindset. Some examples are continuously giving and being receptive to honest feedback. Learn, improve, and innovate, and because every innovation counts no matter how small. Being authentic, being confident that you can respond to challenges positively. Create an environment for people to grow and encourage innovation. Having a customer focus, being willing to experiment and make mistakes. If you like to understand deeper on growth mindset, you can look up in Google or YouTube Carol Dweck on developing a growth mindset. Now, as I mentioned, Agile consists of 4 values supported by 12 principles. And it's really about learning from experience and uncovering better ways of delivering our work. And the Agile Manifesto emerged from a movement in the tech and software industry in the 90s, where one of a few experts in the industry gathered together in a ski resort in 2001. They wanted to see what patterns and what similar values and principles that they have learned and find useful to address dysfunction in organization at the time, how projects were managed, how products were built. And hence this movement grew and evolved throughout the world. In BP, we have adjusted a bit in which originally meant working software become working product, and this could be working service, working well, and so on. And although we value the things on the right, we always prioritize the things on the left as well. Now, sometimes we are also asked about the importance of our safety processes in our operational worlds. Of course, these are incredibly important, and this slide takes nothing away from that. This is about process and tools being involved in the ways in which we collaborate and how we work together, as one example. Now, based on those values, it is supported by these 12 principles. And as mentioned earlier, if you internalize the values and these principles alone, and that itself can already help you unlock a lot of ways in improving the way you work. And as we learn based on the values and principles, there are some key concepts that manifest from those. For instance, like there is, as we focus on the value, focus on the customer, optimize for delivery versus just following a process. And speaking of which, how we work together, this is something that for those who have experience working in wonderful teams, you know how the wonderful feeling of flow feels like. And one pattern here is psychological safety and how we self-organize in cross-functional teams. And I'll show you what do we mean by cross-functional and self-organizing in this following video.
There are a lot of misunderstandings around self-managing teams. It's actually very simple. In a basic low-speed four-way intersection, the goal is to get as many vehicles through the intersection as possible. First, you might try placing something in the system like a police officer or a stoplight. With this configuration, you'll get an average of 289 cars through the intersection in 15 minutes. Next, let's try some four-way stop signs. Interestingly, experiments done with this configuration will actually average 385 cars through the intersection in the same amount of time, an increase of 33%. Now, let's try the intersection configured as a roundabout. Experiments done with this setup resulted in an average of 460 total cars through the intersection in the same amount of time, a total productivity increase of 60%. What's going on here? In the first configuration, all of the system's management is consolidated into one individual. He alone has to make sense of the system's complexity and then decide how the participants should respond. In the four-way stop sign configuration, the responsibility of managing the system is instead taken on by the participants of the system who work to coordinate the traffic themselves. The participants become more engaged and aware, increasing the overall attention of the system. There are two things, however, that still hold this kind of configuration back. One is the stop sign rule system, which actually functions as an external source of management by requiring every vehicle to come to a complete stop before they cross the intersection, including in situations where the stop technically isn't necessary. The second is the design of the intersection. Participants have to be aware of possible collisions that could come from three directions, and when the collisions do occur, they have the potential to be extremely damaging. All of these aspects are alleviated in a roundabout. All of the system management is done by the participants. Each driver enters the roundabout at an appropriate speed based on their own experience and judgment. The design of the intersection also works to make it easier and less risky for the participants to coordinate with each other. Potential collisions can only come in one direction at low speeds, making the risk easier to understand and less damaging if it does occur. Tremendous benefits are possible when organizations are designed well to support self-management. These organizations have proven to be more productive, more efficient, and more engaged. In the past, we only had to train one person on how to understand and manage the system. But to succeed today, we are challenged with the need to help every member of our team to understand those same principles, and to do so in a way that will be consistent across our entire organization.
All right. So yeah, that is just one concept, right, around cross functional self-organizing teams, and that alone has, as you can see in the analogy and example, yields wonderful productivity results. Now, remember they mentioned about you need to be clear on how you design the system that allows this self-organizing. And to find ways of shifting how we work, we've been making some of teams more efficient by using practices like Scrum or Kanban approach, which is taking away sorry, excuse me, is taking a way of working that was used in other sectors such as IT and software, and bringing it to the oil and gas industry. That involves bringing together small groups of people from different disciplines. So in one room, you might find a driller, a reservoir engineer, a geophysicist. You get the idea. We give them a single objective, and then we let them get on with the job with a singular focus. Our experience has found this an incredibly efficient and effective way of working. And by giving our people the space and the freedom to think outside the box, while focusing on the customer, their fast developed conclusions made a value impact on our business. Continuous improvement mindset and methods help us identify issues and waste, such as with the help of value stream mapping, Kaizen, and 8 wastes. Using the same principle on empowerment and cross-function collaboration, teams are able to come up with great problem-solving ideas. In terms of enabling, and another enabler for teams to self-organize and illustrating network of teams, you should think of an agile organization as a living organism that is adaptive to its environment. Interestingly, even the military is forming into a team of team structure. While it used to be a command and control environment, the nature of digital and information flows has completely transformed the approach. The people in the field have immediate line of sight to the information, and it would only cause delays and potential risk to wait for direction from command. This model assumes you have the right people with the right skills. Another risk of lots of layers in a hierarchy is that ideas and innovation gets trapped, and adding layers can add time to get work done. With reinventing BP, we are focused on delayering the hierarchy, deploying talent into cross-discipline squads. A squad is a type of a team. Teams share end-to-end delivery of outcomes, which reduces handovers, moving day-to-day decisions to the points of knowledge versus hierarchy, forming and reforming around the highest value of work. Agility requires more than structural change. It is about mindset, behaviors, and processes. You need talent in these models willing to work in new ways, to embrace transparency and openness, and be willing to experiment and learn. You also need leaders who will nurture the environment. Zooming into one example of how a squad is organized, which and each squad is organized into a squad of squads called unit. Over here, what we call a production delivery unit, which contains cross-discipline squads focused on optimizing an oil and gas asset performance. It is led by what's called a unit lead, which oversees an end-to-end value chain, and supported by a person like myself, who is an agility coach. In this example, we have one's called production management, which has a mission to manage facility production output across the 4 choke points and manage well integrity during operations and specific production enhancing well intervention opportunities. Sometimes it is led by a petroleum engineer and has, as mentioned, a cross-functional team with reservoir engineer, process engineer, electrical well integrity. And as you see here, there's a discipline lead, which role is to build capability, ensure quality of the work in each discipline. And then an example here, another example is facility support that has a mission to keep hydrocarbon contained and keep equipment available to sustain plant production over the life of the facility. In the past, the engineering department or maintenance were separate entities. Now we organize around the work stream or the value stream they are focusing on. Same as well on how we do work preparation, execution of maintenance. You have a cross-discipline squad over here. And to support this way of working, given the nature of challenges we have in the past, where there's a saying, when everything is important then nothing is important, and people get overwhelmed, right? We need more focus. We need to improve how we prioritize around value, focusing on the right things. So starting with at the production and operations level, there's a yearly annual planning event that define overarching priority programs. Quarterly, there's what's called quarterly business review, which define the top priority for the region, which assign talent to value and the conflict dependencies. And every 2 weeks, there is what is called a sprint planning review and retrospective, which manage capacity and delivery while enabling continuous improvement. These events allow the unit and squads to inspect and adapt whether they are, number one, doing the right thing, number two, doing the thing right, and daily, and to ensure a short feedback loop of surfacing issues and the opportunities, they do daily stand-ups. However, word of caution, all those practices, principles, and events, you know, and organizing around that way wouldn't have much impact unless you check your mindset and behaviors. You need to move away from hierarchy and siloed thinking and empowering the team more, from holding back information, because in the past they say information is power, knowledge is power. Now we need more honesty and transparency, from limited ownership to holding each other to accountable and owners, and everyone feeling part of the product or the business, and from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Many organizations failed because they didn't shift old mindsets and what's called cargo cult agile, where they just use the agile language, but actually nothing changed. And based on that, the results are striking. We save millions in logistics costs by changing how we use and optimize our vessels. Our teams identified opportunities to reduce capital expenditure by up to $1 billion. And the number of work orders that were executed behind schedule fell almost by half. Embracing change, advancing energy, strengthening our partnership, we will walk through some specific examples. First is actually this case study was presented in the SPE annual Caspian technical conference back in 2019. And given the great people in the organization, when it was announced that I was going to present in SPE Java, one of a colleague volunteered to share his experience and case study here. And this was the team involved. And it is about delivering the first stimulation vessel in the Caspian Sea. For those who don't know what is a stimulation vessel, it's basically a vessel to perform stimulation into a well, because as a quick background here, they had a well that is it's declining its reservoir pressure, and it really needed a lot of intervention over here. Hence, however, at the time, the situation was this was an offshore asset, offshore platform with a rig, and in terms of simultaneous operations, in order to do stimulation based on the rig equipment itself, it is really dictated by the derrick position, limited opportunity window, and personnel on board, because conflicting priorities with the production team, limited chemical deployment, and requires more lifting operations. So given that this was in the early pilots, they set up a team, as mentioned, multidisciplinary and cross-functional teams. You had people from different disciplines in subsurface wells, production, supply chain, external relationships, even with the integrity management, marine, and many more. And it was, and you'll see that there's a new unfamiliar term for some, which is called product owner, which was the wells team. And they use approach one of the most popular agile framework called Scrum. So a very brief Scrum 101 here. In Scrum, there's what is called 3 roles, 5 artifacts, and 5 events and 3 artifacts. A product owner is basically like a captain, which defines the vision, direction, and prioritize where they need to what they need to achieve. He or she defines the vision, which drives what's called a product backlog. Product backlog you can consider like a wish list or possible things to do to achieve that goal. And there's what is called a sprint. A sprint is a time box that the Scrum team has to deliver what's called a potentially shippable increment. Maximum is 1 month or less. Why is that? Because we want if it's more than 1 month, there's a potentially slower feedback loop and increases risk for the team. And a sprint is started with what's called a sprint planning. They define what they create a shared understanding of what they need to deliver, establish a goal, and create what's called a sprint plan based on the information and product backlog. The developers or development team who are actually delivering the work and figure out how to deliver that work, they meet daily in what's called a daily Scrum to inspect and adapt, and a supporting practice, what's called a sprint burn down chart, allows them to measure where they are against what they have planned, knowing whether there's any risk or whether they need to adjust their sprint backlog. Another role here, what's called a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master can be defined as a team coach or a servant leader that serves the team, ensuring that the team can be the best they can. The team can continuously improve and help them remove obstacles into a wonderful team. And once the sprint is done, like in the previous example, we saw like most teams, they do 2-week sprints. They come up with what's called a potentially shippable increment. It can be in the form of initial well design, or it could be some engineering document that they need to come up with initially, or a new understanding of the problem or how they approach it. That could be a potential shippable increment. They inspect this artifact in an event called sprint review, together with the whole team and relevant stakeholders that which often is from leadership. In the case of this team, not only VPs, but at the time regional presidents sometimes come into the sprint review, so he can understand what the team is doing and offer support and help in case there is something that's getting in the way, whether that is something that getting government permit or approval and something like that. And the additional practice that helps is what's called burn up, helps the team estimate or forecast how long the team can deliver something. And at the end of and after that, there's a very important event called sprint retrospective. Over here, they inspect on how they have worked together during the sprint, what processes, engineering practices, tools, and whether they have worked effectively. Usually, outcome of this is they identify at least one improvement that they incorporate into the next sprint. And in this example, the ultimate product was delivering a stimulation vessel. And and another context I forgot to mention earlier is that in the Caspian Sea is pretty much like a lake, and getting a stimulation vessel is not easy. So the challenge was really complex. They had to really iterate and figure out creative ways to come up with a solution. So what they did is to approach that. Remember earlier we mentioned it's very important to make the process and work transparent, making work visible. This is what's called a Scrum Board or a Kanban board. Anyone from the team can see who's doing what. Even management can see what's happening and what problems do they have. Over here, they during sprint planning they estimate how complex the product backlog items are, and over here, what they make transparent as well the agreements, rules, and in order for the team to be an effective team to collaborate better. And over here, you see a lot of sticky notes. That's just the work that they have completed. They just finish it here. It just shows like how productive and effective the teams are. Right. Now, through that process, they finally came up with an idea that was not thought initially at the beginning of the project, which is they converted a supply vessel that was available in the Caspian Sea. Again, procuring or getting a contract for a stimulation vessel that's ready-made was difficult. So they work together, collaborate with the supplier to convert it into stimulation vessel. And then here's the vessel connected to the offshore platform. And in terms of difference, they were able to execute much safer by reducing the disturbance to the platform activities. In the past, they only could do 2 liftings. Sorry, in the past, it required 10 to 15 liftings versus 2. Faster understanding of formation damage mechanism. They are able to do 7 wells in 90 days versus in the past 14 wells in 730. So that means like now they do 14 wells in 180 days, increasing gallons per foot. And this approach of Scrum aided the acceleration of project delivery versus the old silo way of working, 36 months versus 6 months. Another shorter case study in the Trinidad region here. Again, they use Scrum for new well delivery. They wanted to develop a statement of requirements for ANG 04 and all associated technical work. Again, if you notice, they use cross-discipline team members. And over here, from the baseline of having 12 to 14 weeks for a well plan, a lot of time spent in the process and significant time spent in meetings and emails and triage, into a team that was able to deliver 5 weeks for a well plan. So that's 50% reduction, simplified and focused statement of requirements, and reduced number of meetings, and no emails sent within the team. What a big difference. So how about the feel? How do the people find it? So we more recently this year, we wanted to see how consistent people are happy with this way of working, and they found that a majority of people found they like this way of working before with the reinvent, and we did what's called a Net Promoter Score. With this question over here, if your squad was hiring more people, how lucky you recommend your squad? So the average score was 7.8 out of 10. And the scope for this survey was in Asia Pacific. And for more specifically from the people involved, It's been a really enjoyable experience. Yes, it can be challenging, no doubt about that. To initially to take them out of their comfort zones, and for a process-driven business like BP, it can also be a little uncomfortable. But it's intensely rewarding, and it can help drive the business forward. We have really we are really still early in the journey. We're still continue to experiment new ways of working like this, and rolling out the ones that work is the way we want to go. We also find that by trying things out, we are encouraging a culture of innovation and creativity. Once people have experienced a new way of working that they like, they are more likely to take it forward. So far, thousands of people across BP have now experienced some kind of new way of agile working. I hope many of those will be inclined to take ideas back to their teams and think more creatively of how you operate. And some learnings, definitely it is important that there is a tone from the top, that the leaders are going first, giving a role modeling, and continuously have a feedback loop to adapt. If something is not working, then what will work? We need to continuously explore that. Have the right mindset. It doesn't happen overnight. You need to continuously practice through the values, principles, and practices. It's not a one-size-fits-all. This is a very mindset to shift sometimes, but it slowly but surely learn fast, think big, and start small. Focus on the outcome and invest in training and coaching. And it's never too late to learn. So let me briefly conclude. I firmly believe that the changes we are seeing in society and across our industry mean that companies like ours also need to transform and modernize. As we advance the energy transition, the pace of that change will only increase. The pressure is to constantly evolve, adapt, and improve, as well as becoming safer and more efficient as we look to meet the dual challenge. That means trying new commercial models and being willing to take a risk. We are only just beginning to realize what is possible when you harness digital and at the same time as unlocking the creativity and innovation that is within our teams. We have to innovate and to collaborate, but we must also hold on to the desire to keep advancing. Last but not least, I'd like to iterate a few tips in case you missed it to start your journey. First of all, start small, think big, learn fast. Try to achieve big learnings through small experiments. See where of your colleagues or teams are interested. Invite them, and don't inflict any change because you'll get resistance. Number two, I believe every of us is a leader, but leadership always role models over delegating change. Sometimes change doesn't happen from the top. It could happen from the middle or from below. So leaders need to go first. Number three, there is no silver bullet. So you need to continuously explore what works, learn, and keep on learning. It's a never-ending journey. Right. I believe we are approaching the end, Valen.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mas Karim. What a great presentation. It's been a while for me to be able to hear about this agile again, especially from one of the best practitioners that I've met through my career in the oil and gas industry. And I like the thing that you quote earlier. So the pace of the change in our industry is only increasing. It's not really gone or move away. It's just only increasing. So we need to adapt. So thank you for that. And no worries, we still have a solid 30 plus participants here. So they're I believe eager to learn more and ask some more about this the philosophy and especially the practices, because as reservoir engineer by background, first when I hear about this method philosophically, I just could not relate, like what is this anymore? But then when I was fortunate enough to be a Scrum Master for 3 of the pilot project DP in subsurface, and then I get it. And it takes time, takes some process for people to know this, and I will invite people to ask. But before that, before we go to the Q&A session, let's take some picture together to document this session. So everybody, don't be shy. Please turn on your camera. I invite you all to turn on the camera so then we can have this documentation. Maybe Mbak Fanya will take a lead on the taking the picture. Yeah, Mbak?
Okay, Mas Valen. Mas Karim, I will stop your screen for
Okay,
now.
please switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to switch this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, you can open your camera, and you can also use the virtual background that has been sent in the chat box. But if not, it's okay. Okay, I will wait for 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, I think I will start now, yeah, Mas Valen.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Mbak.
Okay, please, everyone, please smile in 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. Smile in 3, 2, 1. Okay, Mas Valen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to see some familiar faces. Happy to see you.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you everybody for those of you who is still here, who's still joining us here, who hopefully didn't fall asleep. This is time for you to dig deeper into the materials, and as an information, we're still on time, so hopefully we still can close the session at 9 p.m. sharp. So we do still have like around 40 minutes for Q&A. We will see, depending on the enthusiasm of the participants. So I'm gonna scroll through the chat box first. I invite you to also raise your hand and just open your mic and ask Karim here about anything. Especially, I know some people in oil and gas industry probably struggle with to relate this into their daily activities. Please everybody. If not, then I will. So the Pak Ivan Darmawan say no email was sent between the team members. That's awesome, Pak Karim. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know why? For those of you who never really have a live session, I don't want to say a live session. I think trying one of the practices of the Agile, I could share something about that. Hopefully, my explanation could relate to some of the people here, because we probably some of the people here have the same background as I am from subsurface. So one of the things that I noticed really different than the, I would say, traditional organization is that, especially in those pilot projects, but you could, correct me afterward if I'm wrong, Karim. So people just being relocated into a single room, not a single room, in a room. Sometimes we call it a war room, and then they just do that thing only for a span of the project. That if you catch up with one of the example during the Scrum itself. So that, I would say, promote like face-to-face interaction, probably coaching and things like that. Transparency, people know who's doing what, and the team doing check-in or stand-up meeting every day, and every day. This is example is a sprint and Scrum. Sorry, and Agile is much wider than this, but this is particularly only sprint and Scrum. And every cycle, people sit together and do some feedback session. We call that retrospective, isn't it? And
yeah.
One of the things that really still stuck in my mind and that retrospective is that the opening is people will give gratitude or give appreciation to each of the team member. That's the opening. So you need to give appreciation and gratitude in written sticky and give that personally to the person. So that's actually a great way to start a meeting. So yeah, that's from the 2 cents from me, who's lucky enough to be in part of this process.
Exactly, Varun, and I mean, it is really simple, right? I mean, for many years, people are used to a certain way of working in silos, and to get collaboration, it requires sending emails and then waiting for a long time or walking to another department or something like that. Now, if you are really next to each other and you trust that person, and I mean, you take effort to build trust, you are able to be cross-pollinate ideas very quickly, rapidly, and in terms of transparency, maybe if you remember the pictures, when a team is new to this way of working, they start with physical boards, with using stickies or magnets, and actually answering to one of the question here on how was the process done during the height of pandemic. It was actually in a way we are blessed that we have already started to be familiar with agile ways of working. So when the pandemic happened, it was very easy for the team to switch into using digital tools, especially those who are familiar with the mindset practices. So once they switch to digital tools, it's basically the information is all live virtually. And in fact, anyone or any leader, if they want to know what is this team or squad working on, they just check in the system. Oh, okay, it's progressing this way. We know what's the average cycle time. We know how long things will proceed. We also know which work is getting stuck. In the past, maybe people are too fearful to reveal, reveal problems or reveal challenges they have because the lack of psychological safety. But now with a different style of leadership, people are comfortable to speak up, to raise those issues. And plus with the pandemic, there is more and more emphasis to be empathetic. Many people, have different circumstances at home during the pandemic. Some have don't have comfortable ergonomics or internet, access and all that. And as we have servant leadership attitude, leaders come to the team to check, hey, are you okay? What help do you need? And realizing the team is struggling, so maybe they need to borrow the office chair to be more comfortable, provide them, if they can reimburse internet, perhaps. Just some very small example, right, of servant leadership, because these minor things count. They build trust with the leadership, and the team can be the best they be. They can deliver better. Hence, and as mentioned, having a regular retrospective cadence allows the team to continuously inspect what's not working. One retrospective, the team realized, hey, actually, I think we need to adjust our meeting schedule, because in the working from home, there are certain people, maybe they need to do something to support the family, something like that. And this, again, solving for people. If you solve for people, people will take care of the business. So probably that is a glimpse that could help Dian's question there.
I hope it answer your question, Dian. You wanna elaborate more? Are you okay with that? Yeah, thank you. I actually do wanna elaborate more on that, because the interesting thing is that I believe BP adopting that actually during those pandemics. So if you could revert back, Maskarim, what are the things that missing, and what's the issues that you hope, if there's no pandemic, will be different in terms of the transformation? The transformation in BP here for everybody is just, I think, is physically it is a transformation. Like they entirely change the organization itself. Like some of the slide pack that you show earlier, that instead of traditional organization, they change that into some kind of
like a living organism.
Yeah, you probably can elaborate more than.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to remind. It goes back to the mindset, values, and principles, right? Let's face it. A lot of transformations fail. I think the percentage is up to 70%, or could be higher. And why is that? And answering Pak Amro's question in the chat as well, on all kinds of initiatives, whether it's that Six Sigma, project management, process engineering to QM, start very strong, but are usually slowed down by top management. And from your experience, is that also the case for agility? And if yes, how do you get organization leaders get on board? Yeah, so this is going back to the point of why transformations usually fail. Is if you start big, learn slow, that's what happens, because in any change there's called a Ross-Kubler curve, or what's called a J curve. When you make a very big change immediately, then there's be a decline in performance, in a lot of confusion, chaos. People are disengaged, they are fearful, resistant. The bigger the change, the bigger the curve, vertically and horizontally. That means it's really hard to learn from. So hence, if you notice, early on, BP's approach is to do front runners or pilots, several pilots, in fact, across different parts of the world. We didn't inflict, but invite people who are interested, like in Valen's example earlier. And by making small experiments there, we learn quickly, we adapt based on that learnings, and then evolve wider. And also, there is a big emphasis in investing in training leadership, making sure that they lead with the right mindset and behavior. You skip that, then there is a very high risk, because leaders really need to role model and go first here. And as well as that, there's no silver bullet. We need to really be mindful and standardizing the right things, because what approach that worked for some team might not work for another. For instance, Scrum works great for solving complex adaptive problem solving or product development. Then there's another approach called Kanban, works great for team that sort of in a our service or operational nature, like for instance, like maintenance teams, or what's called there's some team called integrity support team at the central team. They use this approach because they have to manage the flow of continuous work and request, making sure they continuously prioritize daily. Hope that helps.
I will, piggyback on the thing a bit. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but Amro is really, I mean, from my experience, it's really top heavy. I don't know in other industry, but at the time, the oil and gas, I think it's only not only BP that adopting this, some of the other majors as well. They've been pushed by the changes, like the one that they quoted by Maskarim earlier. The pace of the change is only increasing. That's why the top management is really buying in. So then, and there's a lot of time, I think also, and financially, that's been allocated to really educate the management before this thing could be implemented effectively throughout the organization. Really. We can continue to Mas Dani Adi. You wanna address that?
Yeah. So thank you for the presentation. Yeah. Thank you for listening. Would you share what is your strategy, how to get the support from people from different departments to work collaboratively, agile, how to quantify the small success to influence others? Very powerful question. So back to the point is, first of all, you need to learn yourself what is the to go deeper basically on the agility skills. Then based, I don't know further context, but in your nature, but might probably worth also inviting them, sharing what you know. Hey, perhaps I've just heard about this different way of working. Would you be interested to try it out to see if it could help address our problem? Because always remember, it is to people be interested if it helps their problem. Sorry, helps solve the problem or issues, pain points, and challenges. Starting small like that, especially if you can invite or influence people who are influential in your company to try it out and explain what are the benefits. Hopefully, did that get closer to answering your question?
Maybe you could also address on how to quantify the small success to influence others.
Oh, okay. Sorry. How to quantify the small success? Well, again, depending on your context, you could, referring back to some of the case studies we shared, if the cases, if the pain points, for instance, takes really long to get things done or to get a study completed, maybe that's one metric you could use, or perhaps you have so many operational issues, defects, and all that. Then probably that will be your focus. Start where you are. Understand what is the source of dissatisfaction at the moment, and that could be your measure. There are more deeper topics actually on this. You could explore what's called evidence-based management as one example. But yeah, I wonder if that answered your question.
Hopefully, yes. You can continue to Mas Febrian Asrul, who actually asked specifically about Scrum method.
All right. Thank you, Karim, for the insightful presentation. I'm new to the Scrum method. How do you overcome when the team member may include in many projects parallelly? Does the Scrum method still be suitable, well applied? Yeah, we actually still have this situation, because in reality, I know sometimes you have person from legal or safety, or maybe what's called supportive functions. You could treat it sort of like like, for example, in the most agile company in the world, which is Tesla, they call it a company as a service. It's basically you have a team, or whether there's a safety team, regulatory team, or something like that. They teams, or other squads, they ask for support, specific requests from them, and then they can collaborate for a certain amount of time, or send someone to that team for a short amount of time until they solve that problem, and then move on to the next one. So that's the reality of life. So that is so it can be applied as long, it's not the whole team that is still multitasking. Otherwise you're going back to the old ways. So second, what is the role of the Agile coach in one of your slides? How does it collaborate with the Scrum Master role? Right. First of all, Agile coach can step in as a Scrum Master. That's one function. Because not all teams initially have a Scrum Master. The role of the coach is to teach how to work in an Agile way. Initially ensure that the ways of working is getting to a place where they are able to be self-sustaining, if that's a fair word to say, and from there they can evolve on their own, basically teaching the basics and coaching individuals to help them unlock their potential, address some capability issues, address internal team conflicts, or even cross-team, facilitate cross-team discussions where sometimes they have alignment issues. It's one example, and including I also currently coach the business leadership team, helping them to further evolve and improve how we become more lean and agile business-wide, and as I mentioned, we're still early in our journey. It's a long journey. There's a lot to learn and improve. So, and how does it collaborate with the Scrum Master role? For instance, like I have coached new Scrum Masters to help them, build capability, become a better Scrum Master, and eventually, like for instance, given that we are a big organization, help them align on the ways of working and improvements, and share as a community of practice, for instance. I hope that helped address your curiosity, Febrian.
I also would like to rephrase the question from Pak Febrian. Maybe it's also will be interested for him. Let me rephrase the number one, Pak Karim. Sorry.
Very clear.
So what the condition that you can't actually force to use Scrum for a project?
Sorry, what condition?
What are the conditions that you cannot actually use Scrum to finish a project or to get the job done? What's the limitation of Scrum? Or can you actually use Scrum for anything?
Yeah, well, there is very different angles to this answer. There are some people out there who say you can use Scrum for anything, which is fine as a learning process. But ideally, for complex, you would use Scrum for complex adaptive problems, building complex products. Remember the Stacy model, where in the complex domain is the sweet spot for applying that. And especially if like you're focusing on that one product. And thank you, Paivan, for adding that from the point of view of Scrum. Scrum Master is an Agile coach with Scrum as a coaching foundation. So yeah, I mean, Agile coach, Scrum Master. I mean, it's not. Some people say Agile coach is a senior Scrum Master. I mean, that's not always true. There are really great people with Scrum Master title, but they have contributed a wonderful impact to the team and organization. Right? Any more questions?
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be more question. I think everybody already okay with all the materials and trying to digest that a bit, I think. Let's wait less than 1 minute and then probably can wrap this up considering the timing. And again, thank you for everybody who's still here. And I believe if you have, further questions, or if you would like to try this your concept in your organization, you're open for for a discussion, on this kind of thing.
I was about to say, I mean, if you are you come up with more questions later on, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. You can find my name, or hopefully, and happy to connect if they have more things that come up in your mind.
All right. Oh, there's one thing from Ivan. Last but not least, agility could not be imposed by an outside team or organization, or lost.
Outside, yeah, organization or by an alien process. For example, an agile team organization creates their own agility, inspired by many other agile management practices. The feeling of process ownership is required for agility. Exactly. I mean, you cannot force it. Always invite over inflict. And I mean, if those who have learned parenting as well, you cannot force something to a toddler. It doesn't end well, for instance. But there's always that inner child within us that that we need to realize from a point of view of psychology. So yeah, once you, if that passion or interest grows from inside, it's very different than if it was forced by an external force.
All right. Thank you everybody. Thank you, Mas Karim. Next, we will go to appreciation. So we will give appreciation to you for your outstanding presentation, Mas Karim. And as a token of appreciation from SPE Java Indonesia Section, we would like to present you with e-certificate. Okay, unfortunately, we cannot present this to you directly in a face-to-face meeting. But we hope this shows our appreciation for your time and effort to share your valuable knowledge with all of us. Big round of applause to Mas Karim from everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Pak Valen and all. I think I have to print this myself and frame it.
Any words from Mbak Anggi or Mbak Dian, our program director and vice chairperson? If not, I will continue with some of the information regarding SPE. Mbak Dian, Mbak Anggi?
Just again, on behalf of SPE Java Section, we want to sincerely appreciate Mr. Karim for taking out time from your busy schedule to provide us with such valuable presentation. And we hope you will be able to join us again someday, and we wish you great luck with all your future projects.
Thank you, Bangi. It is an honor to be part of this community and given the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Mas Karim. I think that's all from me, Mas Valen.
Yeah, thank you, Mbak. And Mas Karim, don't forget to also register, become a member of SPE.
First thing first, don't forget.
So you can continue with the next slide, Mbak Fanya. This is the end of our technical discussion group session. On behalf of SPE Java Indonesia Section, again, we all like to thank you for attending this. And don't forget, participants, please provide your feedback in the link, the one that highlighted red over there. Below, if you would like to receive a certificate, also please do give feedback to the session. You can continue, Mbak, with next slide. So also don't forget, we are going to continue with the second webinar. As you can see in the screen, this is the same series on digitalization and transformation in oil and gas industry as well. It's going to be on Saturday, September the 17th, 2022, in the morning at 10 to 12 p.m. Jakarta's time. Mas Hari Harongko, who's currently work as senior consultant in Infosys Consulting, Houston, Texas, will talk about digitalization of the oil and gas sector. And the session will be moderated by Mbak Anissa Utami from Pertamina Hulu Energy OMWJ. And we're gonna have one more announcement. Next, Mbak Fanya. So next announcement, this announcement, SPE Java Indonesia Section is also currently opening opportunity for all of you, SPE members, to participate as speakers, just like Mas Karim, or be a moderators like me in our new technical program called SPE Member Virtual Talk. So we will host this event once or twice a month, which will also be open to all members and non-members. This is going to be a good opportunity for all SPE members to, shine, share your interesting knowledge and experience, and also gain more professional relations. And don't forget visibility in our industry. And the requirement is simple. You only need an active SPE member, so do not miss this chance. Register yourself in the link. It's going to be open until 31st of August, tomorrow, so don't miss it. So at the end, and the last slide, we would like to remind you again, don't forget to renew if you're already a member and register. Probably Mas Karim will be interested to be a member as well, to enjoy all the benefits and all the opportunity. And also to stay tuned and keep up to date with our event activities. You also can follow us on the social media, as you can see in the screen, as Instagram or LinkedIn. And we also, I think it's going to be pending on disclosure from Mas Karim. We will put the recording in SPE Java Indonesia Section YouTube channel once it's available. I think one of the participants asked about the slide pack to be shared. We're going to inform you later whether there are some materials that could be shared from this presentation. All right, I think that's all from us on behalf of all SPE Java Indonesia Section committee and speakers. We would like to thank you all and have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.
Mas
Thank
Karim, Mas
you.
Valen.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.
Terima kasih. Stay safe
Sama-sama,
semuanya.
Mbak. Ya, sudah malam. Mari kita tidur.
SPE nggak ada yel-yelnya?
Hah? Menurut lo? Oke. Thank you, bro. Bye.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, everybody.
Thank you, saya N ya.